everyone, and welcome to Once Upon a Time at the Oscars.
The show that takes you through every Best Picture nominee from 1927 to today.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Ryan.
Do you like the State Fair?
I do.
Yeah, you a big fan?
Every time that it comes to town, whether it be, the big one or like in the, unfortunately, this resonates with a lot of people, I'm sure, the parking lots of our malls that just have like little fairs that pop up.
Yeah.
I'm always very excited to go. It used to be like on a date thing. Mm-hmm. And now, especially like if we go to like a state fair, like it's still going to be fun to go to with like Taylor. But now it's like, let's take our niece. Like, let's take our niece to like the state fair and everything, or the fair, and she'll have a great time. As an adult, like if I was just going to go to the fair, probably not.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a kid, it was one of the most exciting things you could do. What about you?
Yeah, I like the fair. The last time I went to the fair with Ziggy, one of my favorite memories is we were getting in line for the kind of like the people mover, the sky ride thing.
Yeah.
And we passed by a sign on the gate that said, no goldfish permitted. And it was like, your goldfish can't ride this. And I was like, man, in the year 2025, like...
To be that exclusionary?
Yeah, like, I thought we were past this. It's crazy. But beyond that, I have a good time at the fairs, other than the prejudice.
Yeah, I mean, that's... We here at the Once Upon a Time in the Oscars podcast believe in fair, equal rights, including for goldfish.
Yeah, for all fish.
Goldfish, like, yeah, if I want to go on a roller coaster and die...
That's my
choice. Business.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out when it comes to state fairs, or fairs in general, the only thing that I think we could probably do a little bit better on is we can probably get licensing on some things. I don't love going and seeing Dumbo and they're like, here's Jumbo. Like,
sure.
All right. Yeah. There's also like one ride specifically that's like a very fast moving vehicle that's called like, the Ride of the Stars or something like that. And then there's just like murals of separate musicians and stars above it. But it's like just different enough to where you're like, is that Michael Jackson? No, that's Mikey Jackson.
Right.
Okay. Is that Freddie Mercury? No, that's the lead singer of a band called King. Okay.
Classic.
All right.
All very good.
I wish we could do that differently. But the games, you can't deny the games.
No, you can win a goldfish.
You could even win a fake pearl revolver.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
At least you could in 1933.
This is true. Hey, before we get started with the movie, though, I just want to do a little call to action.
Sure.
I save it for the end all the time. Yeah. But if you do have opinions about these movies, I do want you to reach out to us because we read those responses at the ceremony episodes. That's going to be on the 27th of this month. So if you have any thoughts on anything that we've talked about movie related or about the rights of goldfish, be sure to have those words into us by May 24th. OUTAOpodcast@gmail.com. And then also you can vote. If you're a Patreon member, you can vote on which movie you think deserves to win Best Picture. That's a fun little perk we do. We don't want to see Cavalcade take home the win. So please get in there, vote, do what you can. Patreon.com/OUTAOpodcast. Usually I put that at the end of the episode.
Nice to start at the beginning.
Yeah, now you guys have to sit through it. What I will put at the end of the episode, I have a state fair / carnival story. So stay tuned for that.
Everyone's just immediately skipping to the end of the podcast.
They're like, I need to hear this. And you'll probably be disappointed. But
I also like the idea of you getting a couple emails on this episode specifically, and it's all like glub, like goldfish responses.
Yeah.
If you translate, I'm sure it's like, we appreciate your stand for your fight.
Thank you for standing alongside us.
Swimming alongside us. That feels offensive. You can't just...
You're right.
You can't just do that.
Whoops.
We're talking about the State Fair today. This is going to be the next entry in our 6th Academy Award coverage. And this one is kind of a big one in the sense that, if you go online right now and Google State Fair, you're going to find a couple versions of this.
Yeah.
This has been made a couple times, similar to the Broadway Melody of 1940. I think there's another one too.
Yeah.
State Fair was remade a couple times. This ultimately became this was a Rodgers and Hammerstein picture, right? They adapted this?
You tell me, Ryan.
I believe this was adapted as a musical by Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Like later.
Correct.
Oh, I see. I see.
This was not what this was.
Gotcha.
Because this is not a musical.
No.
State Fair, this is in 1933. Couple things about this. 2 nominations in total. This was for adapted screenplay, which was Sonia Levian and Paul Green.
Yep.
might be Levine. Sonia and Paul took the nomination for this for adapted screenplay, an outstanding production, and this was by Fox.
Yeah.
Kyle, what am I going to ask you?
Probably a couple things as time goes on, but more importantly...
Including what I just did. I asked you there.
Yeah, you did. You mentioned this was nominated for adapted screenplay. This is the first of 3 adaptations.
Correct.
Adapted from the 1932 novel by Phil Strong.
Philip Strong.
Philip!
Yeah, show some respect.
You're right. Man, I'm offending everybody. Fish and Phils alike. This film was not directed by Henry King, starring, say it with me,
Janet Gaynor.
Oh, my heart. I've missed her. As Margie Frake, Will Rogers as her father, Abel Frake, and also the return of Lou Ayres of All Quiet on the Western Front fame, playing Pat Gilbert. Those are my 3 headliners, and the big ones, specifically because I think Janet and Lou are very cute together.
Couple of quick things to do. Sally Ellers as Emily Joyce.
Return of her.
That's true. Norman Foster as Wayne Frake, and Louise Dresser as Melissa Frake. That would be Margie. I don't know why it took me a second. Margie's mother.
Margie's mom.
So you're correct that those are the top 3 billing that you mentioned. But in reality, this really is the story of the Frake family. And then also includes Pat and Emily, who are introduced at the State Fair. So how would you describe the log line of State Fair? Picture it.
Typical family of Iowa heads to the State Fair, heads for an exciting weekend at the State Fair, full of contests, tribulations, and romance.
And heartbreak.
Yeah. And pigs.
A lot of pigs.
A lot of pig content.
I want to go ahead and start off by saying I want to call out your excellent work on Letterboxd. And you left a review of this movie. And you left a phrase in there that I think is something that stuck with me. And that's, this is the most notable example of Swine Time in a Best Picture nominee since Babe. So love that.
Yeah,
because
brother.
at first I was like, Swing Time? Are you referencing the is it
Fred Astaire?
Fred Astaire movie? Yeah. No, you said Swine Time.
That's right.
So I just want to give you a platform to explain that a little bit.
There's a lot of pig content in this movie. Like, and not even just like with
a
Babe.
clip of a pig.
Yeah. It's just like, guys, we need to fill up the time a little bit. Point the camera at those pigs for like 20 minutes.
In the first 2 minutes of this movie, there are at least 30 seconds of footage of pigs.
Right.
You are correct about that. I also want to set up very quickly the Frake family, who we follow for this the entirety of this film. They do raise on a farm pigs.
Yeah.
And the main allure of them going to the State Fair, which they often do, is to contribute on Abel's side, the father, the ability to have a show prize pig. And on the mother's side, Melissa, the ability to have her, hopefully, award-winning mincemeat and pickles.
Yeah.
There's another thing that she makes too. But those are the main ones.
I can't remember what the third one is.
We'll get there. So that's why the pigs play such a big part of this. Now, it's not just that there's footage of pigs. There are at least 2 separate instances of a scene between 2 pigs where they're almost talking to each other.
Yeah.
The way the camera cuts back and forth.
It's like a standoff.
It's a standoff, or like almost a meet cute, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to make a really dumb barbecue
like
joke.
A bacon joke?
Like
yeah.
meet cute. It was like a meet cute between 2 pigs at one point.
Oh, but it ends in like...
It's a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
There's
it's a lover's
pig
quarrel.
fights. Oh, okay. That's kind of sweet.
Well, you listen to the fight. It doesn't sound very sweet.
They say pork is the sweet meat.
Yeah, they sure do.
There's more to this movie than pigs. It's just there's a lot of pigs.
There's a lot of pigs, and there's just the underlining line here is Swine Time. So
I'm glad you liked it.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. But you're right. The majority of this movie is the Frake family traveling. You know, Abel wants to see his prize pig, or in his eyes prize pig, Blue Boy, take the prize for greatest pig, biggest pig, whatever. Melissa wants to see her efforts in the kitchen pay off through the contest as well. And then their children, Margie and Wayne. Wayne has been practicing ever since last year with his mother's embroidery hoops to try and win the hoop game.
Yeah.
And he got swindled last year by a barker, so he wants to try his best this year. And Margie just wants to have a good time.
Yeah.
That's all she wants. She has a suitor who's coming to visit her all the time, and
Who is so annoying.
oh my God, this guy, he is the Eddie Haskell. He's just like, oh, how are you, Mrs. Frigg?
You know when Bobby Hill has that, like, he goes to
Louisiana?
Yeah, and he's like,
This
tea
flower is wilting.
Yeah, I have the vapors. Like, that's
him.
her suitor here.
He's so annoying. And honestly, just the way he kind of comes to their house and like immediately sits on the couch next to her, the swinging couch outside. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't like him at all. And, pretty obvious, Janet Gaynor, not a fan of, what's his name? Harry?
Sure.
Yeah.
Harry sounds right. But it's funny. She's kind of like, he's revolting to her, but it's not until he kind of like butters her up a little bit and makes her feel a little more important, that you can kind of see her like leaning into his face.
Yeah.
And like being more accepting of this idea. So I think she's almost kind of like, accepting is a good word for it. She's almost kind of like, well, look, out here on the farm, what are my options?
Out here on the farm. Isn't that a Guns N' Roses song?
Sure.
I think it is.
Out here on the farm.
Yeah, I gotta look into that. That you like triggered something in
For
my
some
brain.
reason, I'm hearing CCR like coming around the bend.
I like that song
Down
too.
here on the farm. That's not going to work. I'm so sorry for the audience. So a couple things about this. I want to point out the things that I really liked about this first.
Yeah.
That might paint the picture a little bit broadly for the audience, but the way this was filmed was really interesting. Mm-hmm. They didn't film this entirely at the State Fair.
Okay.
What they did is they actually filmed in two separate like stints. The first stint was they filmed at the Iowa State Fair and Exposition for background material. So whenever you see green screens, and there's some obvious green screens here, they didn't film that at the fair exactly.
Green screen is a funny term.
Blue screen, whatever.
Well, like there's a
Background.
There's a projector,
Right.
like playing the image in the
They
back.
weren't doing green screen back then. You're absolutely right. But the idea of like a background image that isn't actually there in the time being.
Yeah.
The projector, you're right. But this would be for the background material and those scenes. And then they would film separately the footage later. Background plates, atmospheric shots, race sequence with the horses.
Yeah.
Those were all filmed in the first stint at the Iowa State Fair. And then it was filmed afterwards. So that helps it feel like it actually is taking place entirely at a state fair, but also get like the conditions of, the shots that you can't really have a lot of control over with your actors there. You can film those two things separately.
Oh, almost like B footage in a way.
Kinda.
Yeah,
Like a
stock
B-roll.
footage. But purposefully filmed, of course.
Oh, of course.
So the opening of this movie, I really like that title crawl or whatever, the title card.
Yes.
They talk about like what's going to happen at the state fair, and the quote here:
loss,
sheep and blue ribbons, or shape and blue eyes. And I love that it's Ma and Pa are going to the fair for their competitions with pigs and pickles or whatever, but then there's also like the hopes to find romance in the form of shape and blue eyes. I thought that was a really clever play on words and.
Yeah, it
summarize the movie.
And it's a little more poetic than the movie tends to be.
Sure.
I also think that it has a little bit of a tone problem because that opening does make it seem kind of like this 5-star final in the sense of like this film takes place in a far off land or mythical land. Mythical Kingdom, I think is what it says. That's how this one kind of opens. And then when it shows the family, it says, we start with the Frigg family. And I was like, oh, so this is segmented. Got it. Nope. That's it.
We start and we end.
We start, continue, and end with the Frigg family. And that's where we see that like poetic nature and kind of like fantasy-esque, or not fantasy, but like, storytelling aspect of that feature end is when the family is just introduced. Yeah. And then the entirety of the movie is just the Frigg family and their day at the fair.
Yeah. Multiple days. Just to be clear.
You're right, because what they're doing is they're setting up camp, like they're literally camping and then going to the fair. I wasn't sure if it was a weekend or a series of days, because it seemed like it might be longer than just like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it's at least multiple days.
Right.
And everyone's there for different reasons. Obviously, Wayne is excited to do this, the game aspect.
Ring a bottle.
Right.
Thing.
But also he's at the age, or rather his sister is at the age, Margie, where she is interested more in the fair now, but he still has to like take care of her.
Yeah.
So when she's going to go, he has to be available. And he's like, well, first things first, let me go get my money back. Let me stack up a bit and get some money here. I do want to talk about this scene of him with the Barker playing the game. I thought the movie was a little sleepy for me leading up to this. I mean, there's some interesting interactions between Melissa and Abel, right? Abel? Yes. In the kitchen when, okay, a moment for Abel's accent in this movie.
Old Will Rogers.
Everyone is doing a pretty good job, including Janet Gaynor, who actually has a line that I wrote down because I thought was interesting. When she's talking with her brother, there's a scene, and I loved this scene, where they're walking from the barn. I think it's a barn, or like at least like a little like shed, where he's practicing, and they're walking towards the house, entirely outside, and they're walking from the barn to a completely opposite side of the farm to the house, and the audio that's captured is like perfect, and it's like clearly just like hovered above them as they're walking. A huge evolution of where we've been previously, of not being able to capture this audio outside when someone's moving, even inside when they're moving. So I thought this was a really like kind of breathtaking, like small feat that I really liked. But while this scene is happening, Janet Gaynor says, "Sometimes, don't you feel like you'd like to go away somewhere and just raise hell?" And this was interesting because in a movie that I was like, this is the squeakiest clean kind of idea for a movie that you can make. It was nice to hear like Janet Gaynor, who is trying to be like, you know, the sweet little farm girl, talk about raising hell.
Yeah.
And she has like this, like, you know, wild oats that she wants to sow. And I thought that was a very interesting scene. But then that leads to, you know, Will Rogers in the kitchen, and everyone has their accent. This is Iowa after all. But Will Rogers is laying it on oatmeal thick.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Because Melissa is talking about her mincemeat. She's like, yeah, it's perfect the way it is. And he's like, you ought to add some brandy. Yeah, and it's like so hard to like make out what he's saying all the time. And then that brings us to a Three Stooges-esque routine of him adding some brandy while she's on the phone. And then she pours the entire bottle.
Yeah, she like finds the recipe that does call for brandy. And she's like, oh my gosh, like...
He was right.
Yeah, I need to add some. Just... They go nuts.
Well, I thought he went a little nuts because he's pouring like more than a finger. And I was like, that bowl isn't that big.
Yeah, well, I
sure.
think he poured like 2 glugs or swigs or whatever of it, and then she's the one that was like...
Oh, she bottled, like, turned it over.
Yeah.
And just, like, dumped it out.
So it's like a whole bottle of brandy in these
whole
pickles
bottle of
and
brandy.
things.
And again, not a big bowl. So I was like, this is all apple brandy. What are we doing? And then while she's, like, packaging the mincemeat from the bowl into a container to take with her, there's, like, a scene that goes on maybe 10 seconds too long of her trying to like stop Abel from being able to see what she's doing.
Yeah, she's using her body to block.
And he just moves side to side. And it's funny the first 5 seconds. And as it goes on, you're like, okay, we're done. And it just, meeting like Henry or Harry or whatever his name was, you're just kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm following along, sure, whatever. The time that I was most invested after that was the Barker scene.
Yes.
Where Wayne goes, and this is where we kind of expect, it's like the 30-minute mark of the movie. You're kind of expecting him to fail here, and that sets up the rest of the movie. But instead, imagine my surprise, he cleans house.
He does.
He absolutely destroys this game and shows that the Barker is like, you know, absolutely scared. He offers him $3. He's like, look, I'll put $1 on each of these. And if you get it, great. And that's my little gift to you. Mm-hmm. And that's to get interest and get people in and play these games. But because Wayne's been here before, he knows what's coming.
Right.
And he knows to expect that this is not going to go the way that he thinks it is without him being prepared. And thankfully he is. And he cleans house. And this brings us to Emily Joyce.
Yeah, and Emily is a trapeze artist.
At the time, we're not sure about this, right?
No. It's not until
she just
later.
Introduces herself as like, hey, this isn't fair what the Barker is doing to this guy.
Yeah, she shows up and she's just like, hey, flirt.
You're real good at throwing those hoops, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, we discover that she does work at the state fair and she's a trapeze artist. And this is like the start of their little romance. I want to circle back to when he's playing the game, though.
Yeah.
Because while this was the moment that you were like, oh, okay, I'm invested in this story. I agree. I like what happens on screen, but you never see him actually throw the rings. The camera sits on his face, and
the second time, the first time when he gets the $3, it shows him throw it, and then the camera cuts to him like landing well, not him, but like the ring landing on the bell with the $1.
Does it? Okay.
But then the second time that he plays, and of course the Barker is hesitant. He's like, yeah, all right, kid, get out of here. What are you doing? Get out of here. But he's like, hey, I got a dime right here. Let me play. He's like, fine. And he lets him play. And that sequence, that's when Emily is over his shoulder. Whenever he throws it, it doesn't show it. It just shows his reaction. And it's not timed perfectly.
No,
I have some issues with this movie when it comes to editing. And granted, this is less the editor's fault and more this is not a perfect restoration of this film. So there's a lot of cuts. There's a lot of things that don't line up perfectly. But this scene specifically doesn't feel like a restoration problem. It feels like an editing issue.
Yeah.
Where he makes a face of like, oh, you see that? I got it.
A little smug.
Like 1 second before the bell rings.
Right.
So he's like smug just before it lands.
And just in general, like the way that the part that sticks in my mind where the camera doesn't cut at all, so you're just seeing his face.
Yes.
You can see that he threw, and then you just hear the bell ring, reaction, whatever. Like, there was no innovation there in this shot at all. And this was the moment I said, okay, I like the acting in this movie. I'm invested enough in the story, even though they all are very like small and not really of any big consequence, really. I mean, before we even show up to the fair, you know that Janet Gaynor has boy drama.
Yep.
Abel has placed a $5 bet on his pig, and then you have the spiked pickle incident. So like you're going in with these little storylines, but in a way this felt like an episode of the Andy Griffith Show or something similar to that.
You name dropped Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, that's
which
exactly
you're 100%
what it
right.
kind of felt like. But I think that as much as I enjoy like those little made-for-TV storylines that this felt so much like, that moment specifically with the game, the camera movements and things and all of that, the setup, visually felt so uninspired that I was like, okay, well,
like
I'm only going to get
should be one episode.
so much from this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the one thing I don't know if I'm going to say but like notice was that there's definitely a farm boy stereotype where Wayne is the older brother, the older sibling.
Yeah.
And he goes to play this game. And he even says, like, last year I won a pearl-handed revolver. But his actions and the way he talks almost makes it sound like he's 8. Where when the Barker is like, all right, man, yeah, you're working me now. You got to get out of here. He's like, well, I have a hard-earned dime, and I've been working so hard to prove you wrong. And everything he says is like, man, you're an adult.
Right.
Like, you need to chill out a little bit. So when Emily's like, wow, you play really well. I was like, he's kind of childish right now. What do you mean he plays really well? But that scene was interesting to me because it showed like, whereas I think the State Fair was kind of this, the way they were hyping up at least, and the way you must imagine people feel in the 30s, was that this was like the peak of entertainment.
Yeah.
So the idea of this guy who was like very clearly taking advantage of people, I thought was like an interesting, like, oh, we're going to see like the dirty side of the State Fair as well. It kind of ends with him a bit, honestly. Like he is kind of the corrupt nature, which at the end of the day, the Barker is probably the most, the easiest target for something like that.
And that's still the case.
Right.
You go play a game now and you're like, wait a minute, this hanging challenge, that pole is spinning.
Yeah.
So
how fair is this really?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where his quest ends. But his new quest is to get the attention of Emily now that he's met her. And that's where he gets to see her perform in her trapeze act.
Yeah. Which is kind of fun the way that is filmed. It's almost like you're standing just below what is his name? Wayne.
You're kind of over his shoulder a little bit.
Right, but from like below as well. So you can look up.
You're on
and
his
see.
shoulder looking up, or you're almost behind his shoulder looking up because you can see the outline of his face on the left.
Yes.
But the focus is Emily spinning so high up in the air.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I did like that shot.
It's a cool shot. Their romance as well is one of the few things, I say few, everything was being targeted by the production code at this time, but it is one of the major components that the production code was against. Ultimately, in the book, they do have a very hot and heavy romance, and that was altered in this. And now there is the classic pre-code presentation of, cut to the next morning and you see somebody buttoning up their shirt, or you see like an article of clothing laying at the foot of the bed kind of thing.
Well, there's actually an interesting thing here that I'm not sure you caught on to that I really, really liked. So when Wayne, and we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit here, but when Wayne first sleeps with Emily, he goes back to her place, or at least like a room, and he's kind of like, playing it by ear, and she just shows up in lingerie, or her robe, and he's taken. When she shows up, there's a butterfly on the back of her robe, and she disrobes. And this is their subtle way of like, I mean, obviously we know where this is implying, but it's not just that they sleep together, it's that he's losing his virginity. And her having the butterfly on her robe and disrobing that shows that metamorphosis for him of that transition for losing your virginity. So I thought that was really interesting too, because that also felt kind of like maybe a slight dig of like what they can and can't show.
Yeah.
Of not just like you said with Aerosmith, that like if it's implied, it probably happened. And in this, it's implied, but that disrobe and the butterfly on the robe is just an additional, like, the meaning of this is that not just only have they slept together, but this is his first time, and he's losing that innocence.
Yeah, you're getting
transforming.
A little poetic nature to it as well.
Yeah. So I liked that a lot, and I thought that was a really nice touch. That was confirmed later on too, that was an intentional thing to kind of suggest his transformation from his virginity. So I thought that was really smart.
Interesting. I like that.
Now, I think the best way to kind of do this is just tackle each family member, because like they bleed back and forth, but in reality, the sole story for Wayne after the Barker incident is really just his relationship with Emily.
Yeah.
And him chasing that. And he excuses this with his parents of like, oh, I'm with some like guys, and there's guys we're hanging out with. There's a really funny scene with, I think Abel does a little bit, but it's mostly Melissa, his mom, where they have a conversation back at the camp of how he's spending so much time with the boys. And she's like, yeah, you're sleeping with them, huh? And he's like, maybe. Like there's little lines that she'll say that are so funny in the context of what's really happening.
Right.
But she's excusing it of like, oh, are they keeping you up all night? It's like, okay, all right. I see what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But the way this bleeds into his sister with Margie, our beloved Janet Gaynor, is that he's supposed to be holding her hand through this. He's supposed to be taking her to the state fair and kind of like protecting her through this. So ultimately she has to go on her own. And when she goes on her own, she finds herself on a roller coaster with our boy, Lou Ayres.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, this movie was pretty slow for me, and I wasn't really like rocking with it. Any rating that I give this movie that we talk about, I want you to go ahead and count a full star for the chemistry between Janet Gaynor and Lou Ayres.
Yeah.
This is where the movie is dynamite, is not just their story, but their like chemistry.
100%. And that's the funny thing. I feel like we spent so much time talking about Wayne and his relationship with Emily. I don't care.
Yes.
I'm not interested at all. This, to me, like Abel and is it Melissa?
Yes.
Like their competition stories and stuff, they're fun, they're cute.
It's all side plot.
They provide a couple laughs. Yeah. I am here for Janet and Lou. And they have such a nice, memorable meet cute on this roller coaster. Because Janet gets on.
Is she trying to kill herself, by the way?
I don't think so.
I didn't understand this.
They need the height requirements on this ride, though, because Janet Gaynor is tiny. I was shocked when I saw her on screen, and I don't know if it's just perspective or she happens to be standing next to the tallest men in the history of the universe, but she's itty bitty.
She is. And the reason I asked that question is when they're on the roller coaster, she sits next to him. Mm-hmm. And there's actually, I don't know if you went back and watched this, in the introduction of their meet cute, Lou Ayres is actually hidden behind someone. So you can't see him. And his hat's kind of down a little bit, almost like an Indiana Jones type thing. And he's just sitting there waiting. And I kind of liked the reveal of this, of like his character sitting next to her. Like we're supposed to know him, but he's just hidden. So you're not even thinking, okay, who's she sitting next to?
Yeah.
Like that. But as the roller coaster goes, there's another shot. And this is the other shot of the movie where I was like, this is like breathtaking. They mounted a camera on the roller coaster itself, which, you know, makes sense. And then you see the footage of like the first person of like the roller coaster going up the hill, and then a scene I'm going to get to. But the first thing that happens is that the camera is mounted on the actual the ride itself, and it's facing the patrons who are riding.
Yeah,
and it catches the car as it's coming out of the port, like leading up to the ramp.
Yep.
And this was almost cooler than like it actually being on like the roller coaster itself, to see the way it like took off, because they could have done anything else, and to just mount it and capture like the natural lighting of them coming out of like the port and then like back up that, I thought was so cool, because Lou Ayres is like hidden in this too. He's like shadowed naturally. And it was just such a like simple little, like, didn't mean anything, but just such a cool little shot. And that leads to them going up the first hill. And at the very top of the hill, there's a sign that says, "Do not stand."
Right.
And Janet Gaynor's like, "That doesn't mean anything to me. I can't read." And she stands up. And the only way that I can kind of decipher this is something that Lou Ayres says afterwards, where he pulls her down. And he says something that's a little misogynistic, but he was like, "Women, they love the thrill of danger, but they can't ever commit," or something like that. And I kind of took that as like, she's trying to kind of like raise hell to her point, right? She's just trying to do something she's not supposed to do. She sees a sign that says "Do not stand." She's like, "Well, here I go standing."
Yeah.
But my first thought is, you're going to get decapitated. Like, if you stand right at the sign that says "Do not stand," you're decapitated.
Sure.
So maybe don't do that. But he brings her down and then just kind of talks her through. And then he's like, "Hey, you're going to write it again." And this is kind of the beginning of the chemistry of like, he protects her, but then ultimately, are you going to do it again? You should do it again. You should try again.
Yeah.
And I really liked this. What about their chemistry stood out to you?
I think that the way he promotes like what she wants to be doing,
Yes.
He supports it. She wants to raise hell, and he's like, "Hey, that was pretty dumb what you just did. Let's write it again, though. Like, I know what you're looking for, this thrill, this excitement. I support that, but I'm going to be there for you." And I just think that he spends a lot of time sweet talking her in a way that doesn't feel like there's a motive behind it. Like he seems genuinely interested in her. And I think that it helps that I think Lou Ayres is like a hunk. Janet Gaynor, obviously, since episode 1 of this podcast, I think we've both been like, she's very cute.
Yeah.
They work so well together, and I really enjoyed seeing them together. I think that's a great meet cute too.
It is. We get to know a little bit more about Pat Gilbert himself. So he's a reporter. He's a journalist, actually, at something called The Register. He mentions this is a Republican publication, but not to hold that against him. I really liked his character. I think he's good on his own. She's good on her own. But their chemistry is so undeniable in this that you're right. Whenever it cuts back to Wayne, he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm really interested in Emily." You're like, yeah. All right.
Move along.
Let's move along. And thankfully, they don't give us too much with Abel and Melissa until like maybe the 75% way mark.
Right.
Like 3/4 through. Then they start focusing a bit more on their contests and everything, which we can get into. But like the log line of this movie is that the chemistry between Lou Ayres and Janet Gaynor is just unbelievable.
It's so good. I think that it's good that these contests exist in this movie because it does break up what could eventually turn into melodrama. There is some comedy there. The pickle contest is fun enough. You know, the judges really like this food that Melissa has made because, of course, it's spiked with so much alcohol.
Right.
She ends up winning in every category she enters in.
They very, very rushedly, they rush the idea of an introduction of like who normally would win.
Yeah.
Like, and there's someone right over their shoulder at all times who very loudly is like, "I can't wait to win."
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, great. This is the person to beat. And not only does she win in every category, I think there's 3 separate things and then an overall. So 4 total. Not only does she win in those, but she gets first place over the person who normally wins, who got second place.
Just completely sweeps.
Absolutely sweeps.
And this is like the Oscars for pickles.
It is the Oscars for pickles, and I do want to point out, I'm sure this is done for laughs, but the absolute length of time that was taken to show the judges eating the pickles.
Right.
To a point, I was like, is this the joke? Is the joke that like we're on this shot for like 45 seconds of just them like not munching on pickles, but just like a straight like just a little bite and then just like chew for so long. And the moment that I knew it was a joke is when they bring out someone who sprays what I can only assume is like water or like air.
Yeah, it's like a palate cleanser.
Like a palate cleanser and into their mouth directly through like a little like puff. And then they have to like breathe through it. My favorite thing about this though, and it's almost in the background, like it's not the forefront of the shot, is the fourth person that he goes to do this to is to the guy eating the mincemeat. When they do this for the mincemeat, everyone has that puff. And then for the first guy who eats the mincemeat, he's the dude who gets a whole, like, not spoon, ladle full, and then just starts eating from the ladle.
Right.
He's obsessed with it. And when they cut to him, or they cut to the shot, he's in the background, and the puffer goes up to him to puff in his mouth, and he just waves him off. He's like, no, I want to live with this. Thought that was great, and I like that aspect. So there's good comedy in this, but there are some scenes that last a little too long. I think there being 4 awards and all of them being the exact same thing of like, first place is Melissa Frake of this, and then second place is this. That scene's just like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It does not need to be that long.
You know, we just talked about She Done 'Em Wrong, and it's the shortest length nominee of all time. Yeah. I think this one would have done well at right around the 65-minute mark, and you could have trimmed off a lot of these, like the judges eating pickles. Or a big one for me is when you get to the pig competition and you have the judges introduced. Dude, like they're the Avengers.
We got to talk about one of those. You're right. The way they're introduced is kind of like the heroes have arrived.
Yeah.
And there's one judge who I think is wearing, I'm trying to find my best way to describe him to you. I think he's wearing white pants. There's a moment where he's judging Blue Boy. Mm. And this guy is just getting his calisthenics in, man. Like, he is just like, he is leaning so far to the ground with his one leg extended out. And he's just like trying to get all angles of this pig. And the shots of him just almost look like a Michael Jackson music video.
Yeah.
Of like, check out what I can do. And you're like, what is he doing? It's so funny to me. And it has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Like, I was like, can we get back to like Janet Gaynor real quick? Instead of just this dude who's like lunging to see underneath a pig.
And here's the thing, like, this is the Iowa State Fair. This is a monumental fair. And historically, this has always been one of the biggest fairs in the country. So there's part of me that wonders, were any of these judges like important people?
Actual judges?
We should know. Well, like, was one of these the mayor of this town?
Oh, I see.
Or you know, like government officials or something?
I thought you meant like famed Iowa State Fair pig judge.
Which, who knows? Maybe it is. Like, that could be the extent of like how big this fair is, where everybody knows the main judge of the hog competition.
I got to tell you, if that's true, and that one judge I'm talking about is like a famed judge, I know it was his idea to be like, what if I lunged a lot?
He's like, well, this is what I do normally. So,
and there's no way that's true. And he's just like, what if I need screen time, babe.
Yeah.
Lou Ayres and Janet Gaynor in this movie. How am I going to compete? She's like, lunge.
And
show off those gams.
But you're jealous.
And he does like the anti-gravity thing almost, but with one leg.
He's got his fedora down.
It's so funny. So that scene stuck out to me pretty heavily. Thank you for bringing that up. You know, it's funny because we talked about how this was an adaptation, but also was adapted 2 more times after this for the film or for the screen. 1945 and 1962. And confirmed both of those are musicals. And I haven't seen either of those versions yet, but I have to imagine, having seen this, a musical, I don't want to say shtick, but application to this really might change the pacing problems that I have with it.
Yeah.
Now, if it makes it 2 hours, we've gone backwards.
Sure.
But I think that might change the pacing of this because obviously you see the musical aspect behind Margie and Pat. But also, I could see like a song between like Emily and Wayne, or like a song for Wayne, a song for like the hog contest. Like, there's a lot that can be done for that. So I'm interested in watching the musicals now because I think that might help pick up the pace on this. That otherwise it does have a pacing problem.
Yeah, I would love to see the musicals because I want to know if there is a pig number.
I believe that at least one of the musicals is on Tubi.
Okay, cool.
Because when I was looking this up, it was very like I had to be specific. So like, no, the 1933 version.
Right. So the pigs.
The pigs.
Right.
Swine Time.
Yeah, Swine Time, baby. Swine Time. Like we said at the top of the show, there is a back and forth with 2 pigs. And it really is like the speed of these cuts back and forth just escalates until it's like pop, 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 pop.
Like, I would almost argue that the chemistry between the pigs is only outmatched by Lou and Janet.
Yeah. It feels like the music from Kill Bill anytime she sees one of the Cobra units.
Yeah.
And she's seeing red and she's got blood. Like, that's what's happening with these pigs.
It is palpable.
It's crazy. And ultimately, Abel and Blue Boy take home the win, and it's this big thing. The whole movie, too. Blue Boy has been sick, and you're kind of following this story of a sick pig.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I get it. I get how this could be fun, and like, especially in a time during Depression, you see these very, very relatable human people in this country just trying to go and enjoy their time at the state fair. And the most traumatic thing being, well, the pig is sick, or, oh, I really boozed up these pickles. this is some high intensity drama.
For an Iowa family.
Right. When the pig does win, everybody's celebrating and everybody's happy.
People are literally leaping out of this, like the audience area, to go greet the pig and Abel.
And clearly, this is too much for the pig because we've got an all-out pig brawl. There's bacon bits flying everywhere. Like, it's intense.
Hog hustle, yeah.
And then it ends, and it's over.
Well, I mean, it's very, I guess the word is interesting, because at times it's very funny, and then other times I'm like, it's almost like Trader Horn, where you're like, how'd you get this shot of the pigs fighting?
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that we just had them fight. We just made the pigs fight. And you're like,
what?
All right. I don't think I want to know how you did that.
Yeah.
There's also a couple jokes in there that are definitely intentional, but just kind of felt weird, where Abel, I think, is saying something about, yeah, well, Blue Boy's going to help me bring home the bacon. I was like, oh, no. Because Blue Boy's probably like, what?
I just made a bacon bits joke, so, like...
You're doing the same thing.
I'm guilty as charged.
But there's something comical, admirable maybe, about Henry King including footage of, like, all right, so here's where we have the fight. And they're like, great, so the fight's just going to happen because they're pigs, right? He's like, no, there's a conversation that's had between them.
Yeah.
And we're going to film it this way. Great. So there's one camera angle where we have the two pigs looking at each other and we just assume they're talking, right? No. I want one shot of Blue Boy, and then I need another shot of this pig. And we're going to cut back and forth.
Yeah.
And they're going to be oinking at each other the whole time. So much of this movie, not just Swine Time, is oinking. And it's just a lot of like sniffing and like huffing. Because these are not pigs. These are hogs.
They're big.
They are hogs. And they're just like making a lot of grunting noises throughout. Literally almost just did it, and I'm so happy I didn't. But there's just a lot of grunting noises through this movie, and that altercation, not just the fight, but the lead up between Blue Boy and this other pig, is just grunt city.
It's intense.
It is nuts. And it's almost, again, admirable of them being like, I want to know what the story was, because I know that Henry King and someone, at least the cinematographer, was like, all right, he did him wrong.
Yeah.
He's like an old distant cousin, and they have, pardon the pun here, beef between each other. And this is what's going to lead to their ultimate escalation. Because it could just be they're pigs. Just let them fight. But instead, it almost feels like the end of Rocky, where it's like one pig won and the other didn't.
Yeah.
And go. Scene.
It's a lot of pig time.
Swine time.
You know how in Guardians of the Galaxy, Groot, like, he has lines.
Yeah.
Even when he says, I am Groot, like, he's supposed to be saying...
They're decipherable. Yeah.
Exactly. I want to know if there is a cut of this movie where the Blue Boy has, like, the dirtiest lines.
You know what I would love is if he ends up having the lines that are more poetry, like in the beginning, when it's like, we start with the Frank family, or the Frake family.
Yeah.
Where it's him being like, my dearest, you have done me wrong. And like shows that for him.
Yep.
Great. Different movie altogether.
Man, what if we did a commentary track one day of this movie?
And State Fair?
Yeah, we just added, or even if we just added subtitles to all the pig talk.
You know what we should do is we should take every movie that has Swine Time in it, and we should do that.
Yeah.
Just add dialogue.
Translate the pig talk.
Babe, I think we would just have to like recite the movie. But
yeah, I mean, if the pig actually talks, like, our work here is done.
Do you quote Babe at all?
I go, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know me too. No, that's honestly the funniest thing you've ever done. No, my brother and I've gotten Taylor to do it too. We do the transition scene with the mice all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? The 3 days later.
Right.
We do that all the time. Just to show the passing of time.
It's good.
I can't remember if that's Babe or Babe Pig in the City, but I think it's both Babe. Can you tell me who directed Babe Pig in the City?
Oh, I don't remember.
You don't?
No. Do you know?
Take one guess. Just one guess.
I'm going to go with Sidney Lumet.
Oh, wow. No, you're wrong. The director of Mad Max Fury Road.
That's way better.
No, that's wrong. I'm getting that wrong.
George Miller.
George Miller.
Yeah.
I almost said Frank Miller. I was thinking Sin City.
Yeah.
George Miller. That's correct. Which means Mad Max, Happy Feet, and Babe Pig in the City.
Yeah.
And Furiosa.
Wow. What a career.
What a career. I don't think he did Babe.
Incredible. What do you think he thinks the pigs are saying in this movie?
Oh, I think he did exactly. I think he's a man of genius like we are.
Do you think Blue Boy is just like, witness me?
Well, Blue Boy, first off, is a fantastic name for a Mad Max character.
Yeah.
So he's already like halfway there. Man, George Miller's State Fair.
Yeah, I checked that
No, that's
out.
something I want to see. Witness me. Can you imagine Emily like spinning at the top during her act? Witness me.
Witness me. Listen, we've talked a lot about pigs, and I think that is like a great example of like this movie. Like, you just want to hear. Do you want to hear more about Janet Gaynor and Lou Ayres? Because we do. We did, but we had to sit through all this pig content,
which is equally great. Very excited about Swine Time.
This is going to be the weirdest episode for people.
I'm for it. I want to hear how much stays of your babe impression, your babe reference. Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to mention with this is the ending of this movie. It has the romantic ending, even in the rain.
Yeah,
like it's raining outside, so this is the reunion between Pat, right? Pat and Margie.
You're right.
Yes, this scene is just like straight romance. Is exactly what you expected to be. We didn't think we could be together, but now we can. Fantastic. The thing I really want to talk about is the very end, the last shot. There's a billboard behind them for State Fair.
Yeah. And
this is great because it kind of acts as like the, this is the end of the movie, State Fair. Mm-hmm. But then as they leave the shot and it lingers on the billboard for State Fair, the rain causes the poster to start peeling off of the board, and it slowly reveals the end behind it.
Right.
Beautiful.
So good.
Loved that. And it felt, I'm sure there's some production behind it, but it felt like such a cool little detail to throw in there. Mm-hmm. I loved that aspect. So there's some filmmaking to this that I really appreciated. Yeah. But ultimately, the story, basically of anyone other than Janet, here's the tough thing. Janet and Janet Gaynor, we're cool like that, and Lou Ayres, their chemistry is off the charts, but their story is like fine.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's kind of the whole movie. I mentioned in the last episode someone's remark about She Done 'Em Wrong, and this is when movies that shouldn't have been nominated for Best Picture were getting nominated. And this really feels like one of those, where it's such a small story and of little to no consequence that I don't fully understand it. It's cute, it's fun, it has a few laughs, and I do enjoy Janet Gaynor and Lou Ayres, but that's kind of the extent of it with this movie.
It really doesn't go much further than that.
No, and I think the most exciting part of this movie is this like romantic ending, because everybody's at home and, the winners are celebrating their ribbons and all of that. And then Harry once again shows up and he's just like, well, hello, my little petunia. And you're like, blah.
Yeah, what's even funnier about that scene is he does show up and he does say all those things and is very like cringy. And he's like, yes, give me just 1 second, my dear. I love you so much. Hey, Abel, that bet we made.
Yeah.
He's like, do I have my $5 coming or what?
Right.
And I did like how it almost felt like he dropped the veil a little bit and was just like, I'm really here for the bet, man.
Yeah,
the gamble is all I was here for.
It is good. But yeah, the phone rings and at first Margie ignores it. And then when she sees that Harry is walking up, she's like, I'll get the phone. Picks it up, and that's where...
Harry?
Pat's his name. I almost forgot.
Pat calls.
Pat's on the phone. And this part...
This does feel like Pat died in a car accident.
Yeah.
Did you pick that up?
At first, yes. But then Janet Gaynor, like, it's her big opportunity to really act and showcase, like, joy and emotion and love. But she's just talking to the phone. You can't hear what Pat is saying on the other end. So at first, you do think the worst. But then she's elated and she's excited. It's a little cringy for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, again, it's not a great execution. And that's why I think like I want to preface that their chemistry is phenomenal, but their story that's behind it is just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I do like the idea of small town, like farm girl, like being in a relationship with a guy who is a reporter who has seen the world, has traveled the world, interviewed like political figures.
Yeah.
And has like the adventure that she's looking for. Like he has that like, opportunity for her. And I like that idea, but the story of like just their budding romance like in the State Fair doesn't really go much further than their own chemistry.
Yeah, it's small potatoes.
And I think that that's indicative of the writing, of not just the writing, but like how flimsy the story is, that even a chemistry this good can't save that. But it is certainly worth the price of admission just to see their chemistry.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Again, it's cute. It just feels like a made-for-TV, at most, like a season finale.
I do want to take the time, as we're wrapping up here, to say that one benefit of being on the Discord with us is that we have the option to talk about these movies in real time, including where Bryce, longtime friend and patron of the pod, has commented something about the Cimarron book. And I mentioned, hey, we're recording right now. Do you have anything you want to say? And Bryce's exact words, I don't have anything to say about State Fair, but man, do I love Janet Gaynor in that.
There you go. That's the perfect review.
Yeah. That might be his review, actually, now that I'm thinking.
Maybe he's just reading it. I will say, as excited as I was to see Janet Gaynor at the top of this movie, she does play like young girl in this. So there is kind of that element that I'm like, oh man, this reporter has been all over the world. And, here he is talking to this 16, 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's not explicitly said, but again, when Wayne kind of behaves like an 8-year-old at the toss game or the hoop game, and she's the younger sister.
Yeah, you're like,
it just feels really weird.
This is getting rough.
Yeah.
But again, I just really love Janet Gaynor. I think she's fantastic.
Bryce did point out too, the Iowa, this is all in caps, by the way, but I'm not going to scream it. The Iowa State Fair is still a huge deal, like to today, to this day. His in-laws live there, and like every year it's like a holiday. So it is like a very large deal. I think for us, like with a state fair in Georgia, we're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll make it down there, and then you never do. But with an Iowa State Fair, it sounds like to this day, it's still a similar, like we're going to camp out and like go to the state fair.
Right. Is it like Woodstock every year?
Yeah. Based on him responding all caps, it sounds like it's like Coachella up there.
See? And maybe I would support the Georgia State Fair more if they supported Goldfish more.
It's funny that you doubled back to Goldfish, because I feel like Swine Time is where we really spent the majority of our animal rights.
As far as I know, they let them ride the Sky Trolley. It's just the fish. So
imagine Blue Boy on the trapeze act up there.
Yeah, swinging around.
Him having beef with someone underneath.
Yeah. I'd hate to be underneath Blue Boy.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to not linger on this because I think I've described my feelings on it well enough.
Yeah, I think so.
I gave this 3 stars. I think it is like the perfect middle of the road. Just cute little made-for-TV movie, it feels like.
Yeah, I was a little lower on this. I was 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5 stars on this one, and that feels fair, especially with me talking about 3 stars for She Done 'Em Wrong, and probably a little bit higher. I enjoyed She Done 'Em Wrong more than State Fair, but again, that's not the indicator of like a bad movie or anything. The chemistry is so good in this that it's worth watching alone for their chemistry.
Yeah.
But then everything else around it, even though there's some cool shots that I really liked with the roller coaster aspect, and I really liked the production angle of like how they filmed it 2 separate times, it just feels like something's missing in this. And that's what makes me very interested in the musical adaptations that come after this.
Sure.
To see if they fill in the gaps and find where that's wrong. But the reason that it feels like kind of a bad omen to do that is you're not going to have this chemistry between Lou Ayres and Janet Gaynor.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know who stars in the other 2 films, but
I want to say Judy Garland might be in one of them.
That's interesting. Okay.
Maybe. I might be thinking of Meet Me in St. Louis.
That would be very interesting because Janet Gaynor goes on to be in A Star Is Born, and then Judy Garland is in a remake of that.
And they can't stop. I would love to see Janet Gaynor's Wizard of Oz.
Man, I think if she had been younger when that movie was being filmed, she would have been a shoo-in for it.
Well, you know who's in Janet Gaynor's adaptation? You know who's going to play Toto?
Wallace Beery?
That's such a better answer than I was going to say. Blue Boy.
Oh, yeah, that's good too. That's really good.
Or maybe one of the flying monkeys.
Blue Boy's going to play a flying monkey?
Probably.
Man, sure. Imagine that swooping down and just like... just crushing the scarecrow.
I'm also just imagining like when the Munchkins show up and they do the whole lollipop guild and everything.
Yeah.
That like just with absolutely zero context, like Blue Boy is just sitting, like standing among them.
Right.
Not moving or anything, not even dancing, just standing there.
In like the suspenders and everything with like, he's got the curly hair.
This might be the most unhinged episode we've had, and it's for like the most vanilla state.
Yeah. It's cute. Like,
Did
that's
we
about
eat
it.
any of the mincemeat with the apple brandy in it? Is that what happened?
Maybe that's what it is. That judge that like scarfed it down.
Yeah.
I like the newspaper headline where it's like he's in bed like mad.
I thought this was a nice touch, especially with like Melissa and Abel, where Abel's like, yeah, did you see about that judge where he basically passed out because he had a hangover from all the mincemeat he ate? She's like, oh, yeah, that's really weird. He's like, yeah, it's super weird, huh?
So weird.
But it's funny because with him, he's like, I don't think I added that much apple brandy. With her, she's like, I might have lethally dosed this man with like apple brandy.
In the newspaper headline is like, man runs out into street crazed on apple brandy mincemeat and gets trampled by fire department horse and carriage.
Daughter dancing in white dress and couldn't be bothered.
Blue boy dancing in white dress can't be bothered. This episode.
I appreciate everyone listening.
Yeah.
This is good.
Thanks, guys.
State Fair is worth your time, if not just for the chemistry.
Yeah.
And again, in a year where we're talking about Cavalcade, it's hard to kind of look at this and say bad. It's just not as enjoyable.
This is a highlight compared to Cavalcade.
Correct.
You can find it, physical media. Fox put out a DVD.
You can.
That's about it.
I'm looking for it. I'm excited to have that one because it's not too bad. Again, I'm interested to see the adaptations in 45 and 62 as musicals. Let's talk about double features. Pretty excited about mine.
Yeah.
How do you feel about yours? Is this the one that it took you a second to find one?
Or is that was the last one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a pretty good double feature for
Thanks,
just me.
man. Appreciate it.
Let's see if you keep it up.
Yeah, who's going first?
You want to go first?
Okay, so I went with the concept of like an event being the highlight of the movie. Obviously, you have the state fair. This is a big deal. And everything in this movie revolves around this event. Something similar to that is kind of like when you're in school and you're like, man, I really hate school, but we're supposed to get some bad weather tomorrow. It'd be really cool if school got canceled.
Stop it.
So I went with the 2000 Nickelodeon film
Chevy Chase.
Snow Day.
Yes, sir.
It's been a long time since I've seen this. This might be the worst movie ever. I don't remember.
I got to tell you, man, you're not even done, and I'm going to let you finish. This episode, with everything that we've done, everything we've talked about, everything we've joked about, and you pair it with Snow Day,
I mean,
what are we doing?
What can I say?
We can't be stopped.
Yeah, it's just a fun movie of like these kids and their antics when they have a snow day, and it kind of has everything. I remember like the older brother having a crush on the neighbor girl.
I'm totally gonna destroy her name. Emmanuel Shiraki. I mean, I had the biggest crush on her when I was a kid watching that movie. I mean, still, she's beautiful.
No kidding. Like I would say I rewatched this movie many times as a kid. That must have been like 90% of the reason I rewatched it.
She's great. And they have like a great, like, it's one thing when she's like obviously beautiful, but then when she has that like great scene where like they connect and they have like a great relationship. I think it's like in the indoor pool or something. It's great.
Man,
great
I
movie.
haven't seen this in so long. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. It's just a collection of antics happening on this particular thing.
Which, yeah, perfect for State Fair.
That's it. That's all it is.
Literally just talking with my friend last night about what makes for a 5-star movie for me. And I was like, look, technical aspects, emotional resonance, like it all has to be there. But at the same time, Good Burger is a 5-star movie for me.
Sure.
And as is something like Snow Day. So, I mean, granted, it's probably not when I'm, 37 looking back on it, but still, I loved it.
I'd be curious to see if there's a pig in Snow Day. Even briefly.
It's the only thing missing.
I think a character eats bologna at some point. Well, that's beef usually. Carry on.
Anyways, I went in a similar direction, not quite, but pretty similar with my double feature. I also looked at the idea, not so much an event, I guess technically an event, more a destination.
Okay.
And the family that gets involved in this. And also how that family, the movie follows them in separate stories and how that kind of like bleeds together. But I chose the 1997 film directed by Steven Kessler, Vegas Vacation. This was much like Snow Day, another classic in my family household when I was growing up. And I watched this so many times. But to me, this is almost the preferred vacation movie for me. Yeah. More than like Vacation, European, Christmas. This was the one.
This is National Lampoon's.
You know what's so funny? I didn't see anywhere on here that it was called National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation, but it is that series of National Lampoon. So that was interesting. But yes, Chevy Chase, Ethan Embry, I think, is Rusty in this one.
Okay.
Juliette Lewis as their daughter. Such a good time. I really enjoyed this, and it felt very similar to the idea of like a family going to a destination and the antics that they get into in that.
Yeah.
And it's very funny, which I think State Fair misses sometimes. No pigs, if I remember correctly.
Bummer.
There is a pretty significant amount of Wayne Newton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but no pigs.
Okay.
But, you give and take.
Sure. Yeah. No, I like that. The only National Lampoon movie I've ever seen is Christmas Vacation.
Sure.
And I didn't see it until I was like pushing 30.
It was pretty recent for me, too.
Yeah.
Like, it was after 30. You're right.
Yeah. So, man, I feel like I could make a playlist of just all of your double feature recommendations, and it would be like 97% movies I haven't seen, but probably should.
Yeah. I think 97% is probably a good number. Of like, you should see these and other ones don't.
Right.
But yeah, that sounds about right. Because what I want to do is I always want to pick something that's not just in theme matches, but also like, are you going to have a good time with this double feature? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it'll be a sad double feature, and I'll say that up front. But otherwise, I'm trying to like offset. Is this one a little quiet? Do it a little louder. Is this one a little loud? Do it a little quiet. I try to do
for
that.
sure.
But also match the themes.
I like it.
I'm intentional with my chaos.
I like it. Solid. I mean, that's State Fair. There you go.
Plus a little bit.
There you have it. Yeah. What an episode.
I had a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun too. I was a little worried. So, peek behind the curtain. This month is like, we're pumping out a lot of stuff.
It's a 3-episode day.
It's a 3-episode day, and we started with Cavalcade, and I was a little low energy.
Your black coffee.
Yeah, it was a lot. And then when we moved on to She Done 'Em Wrong, I was excited because we got to talk about a movie that I think has so much behind the scenes and so many little trivia facts and things, fun bits. When we got to this, I was like, okay, this is kind of in between for me.
Winding down.
And it's the last one. What's the vibe going to be like? Are we going to be fading a little bit?
Nope. Well, maybe.
Unhinged. Well, yeah, but not in a... Man, write in and let us know what you thought of this episode. Like, if you have thoughts about the movie, cool. But I want to know, do you want to see more of this? Have we been taking this podcast in the complete wrong direction? Do you want us to just be like, yeah, I don't know, Forrest Gump's good, but anyway...
You know what it didn't have? A lot of horn noises.
Yeah.
We just start doing like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we just get a soundboard for the rest of the show. It's just the most random. It's Babe doing that
Would
yell.
that be the only time that a podcast has devolved into a morning radio show?
It can't be. It can't be. But maybe that's what we're missing. Let us know. Yeah, that's all I got.
Godspeed and thank you for listening, everyone. Really excited. It also kind of works out to these 3-episode days we're talking about where we're covering a week, right? Monday, Wednesday, Friday of these. So very excited. Thank you for hanging in this one. Happy weekend if you're listening to this on Friday. And catch us next week as we talk about our next entry, which is 42nd Street.
So excited. That's a Busby Berkeley musical.
Yep.
So that's going to be cool. It's actually been a long time since we've done like a straight musical.
That's true. Would it have to be... I mean, do you count 1 hour with you?
Yeah, it would be a Lubitsch for sure.
Yeah.
But, every time we see a musical outside of Broadway Melody, it's been a Lubitsch. So it's going to be cool to see something else. So looking forward to that one. That's going to be on Monday, the 18th.
Look forward to it.
That's going to do it for today's episode. As always, I'm Kyle.
I'm Ryan.
And we'll see you at the movies.